Okay, we're gonna do lesson 76.
All right, gang, you heard the guy. We are on lesson 76, and this lesson is pretty short and sweet, and it's using a new strategy to compare the size of fractions. In the past, you guys drew boxes and colored in 3/5 of that box, and then colored in 5/8 of this box, and then compare the sizes. I don't necessarily like that way because you would have to be a very accurate at drawing, and sometimes when you do that, you know what I'm saying, like if you had done this 1 2, which again, like not easy, 1 2 3 4, so there would be my fifths, and I shade in 3 of them. This is how past Saxon had us do it. And then 5/8, which is taking a box the same size and then dividing that into 8s, which is a little dicey. So what do I got there? I cut it in half and then cut my 4ths in half. So there's my 8ths, and I'm going to color in 1 2 3 4 5 of my 8s. As you can see, hard to tell which one's bigger, right? So we're going to do it a different way. There's another way that I like better even than this, but I don't think you get to learn it until algebra. So sorry about that. We're going to do it by converting each fraction into a decimal and then comparing decimals. Now you might be wondering, how do I convert 3/5 into a decimal or 5/8? Well, as I've said before, every fraction is a division problem just waiting to happen, and it's always top divided by bottom, and that will give us the decimal. So we're going to compare 3 divided by 5 with 5 divided by 8. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit so I can show you what 3 divided by 5 looks like. Now a lot of you still are uncomfortable with this because I got my big number out here and my little number in here, and it just feels so uncomfortable. I don't know if that ever changes, because even as an adult, that kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. I think just because we like things to work out nice and neat, and 5 is definitely not going to go into 3 nice and neat. So since 5 does not go into 3, I'm going to put a decimal point after that 3 and give some zeros so I have some room to work. And as we remember, when you're doing a decimal divided by a whole number, you just move that decimal straight up. And now let's try 5 into 30, because 5 did not go into 3. 5 happens to go into 30 very nicely. In fact, I can do that, subtract, and I'm down to 0. So you'll notice I really didn't need this 0 here. It's 0.6. Now, so I'm going to write, so 0.6, and that's the same as 0.60000. I don't change the value. We can give it as many zeros as you want. So right now I'm going to just write 0.6 right there. Okay, and then we got to do the same thing with 5 divided by 8. Now this one isn't as quick, but it'll work out for us. I'm going to lose some room, so I got to give myself some space here because I know I'm going to have some numbers behind the decimal. All right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to start with 2. I happen to be looking in the book, so therefore I can see the future, and we're actually going to need 3 zeros, but we could always do that once we get going. All right, so 8 does not go into 5. 8 does not go into 50 perfectly, but it does go into 48. So I'm going to do what we know. Subtract. I'm going to do this kind of quick because this should be getting easier for you. 8 goes into 20, not perfectly, but 2 times, 16. I got a 4 down there, bring down the 0. Oh, good, I have something that 8 goes into perfectly. 8 goes into 4D 5 times. Okay, 40 down here, and just so you see what I did, but not that important. All right, so our answer is 0.625. So I'm going to write 0.625 up here. Okay, So yes, sometimes you need some scratch paper to work that out, and that's okay. If you don't have room on your paper, you can always do scratch paper for some of this. I'm going to try and be clear and let you know when I need to see your work, or when in doubt, staple your staple your scratch paper to your exercises. So in case I'm ever wondering where you got a number, I can find it. I can look at your I keep wanting to say graph paper. I can look at your scratch paper and get an idea of what you were doing in that point. So when in doubt, keep your scratch paper, staple it to the back, and kind of like when you do writing. You have your rough drafts. You guys do your published work on top and then rough drafts behind it. Remember when we did IEW? All right, so I'm going to put this little circle thing that they like. And because this has got 3 digits, it's just kind of nice to have 3 digits because that way I can compare. All right, so those guys are the same, 6 and 6. So neither is greater on that. Now I have 0 versus 2. This 0 is now head to head with that 2 because these guys were equal. We're going down the line. So because 2 wins at this game, we just decided or found out that 5/8, so now we can say 5/8 is greater than 3/5. Okay, now we're going to do that one more time with a problem where they give us a fraction of decimal. In fact, this is kind of nice. Well, it's nice in a lot of ways because hopefully remember what that fraction is, but if not, we'll do the division. Okay, this time half of it's done for us, 0.7. Now, what if it had 7/10? What if it had said 7/10? We wouldn't have had to do that division problem either because 7/10 is this. So we wouldn't have had to do 7 divided by 10. We would have 0.7 because 7/10 this is how we say this decimal, 7/10. All right, we have 3/4. Now, at a certain point, hopefully these kinds of fractions are going to mean something to you decimal-wise. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Those are the big 3, the top 3 that I plan for you to know. But then you're going to know a lot more. So 1/4 is 0.25. 1/2, most of you do know, is 0.5. And 3/4 is 0.75. Okay, so we could already write 0.75. Now, let's say you forgot, and your memory you went blank. It's on a test and you just froze and you don't remember what decimal 3/4 stands for. So you could do 3 divided by 4. Remember, when in doubt, just do top divided by bottom. So I always do 2 digits, just maybe because most of the time we can get it done in 2 digits, but not always. Okay, so 4 doesn't go into 3, but it goes into 28. Oh, got to bring my decimal up, sorry. 7, and then we subtract, bring down, and then now we've got something that 4 goes into 5 times. So there it is, 0.75. I could keep doing this, but I kind of know that that's the gist of it. 0.75. Here's one other thing. Here's another tool to convert to fraction. I'm kind of throwing them all out here for you in case you forget. Okay, here's another way to do into decimals. Okay, 4 times 25 is 100, right? So 3, we do the same at the top. 3 times 25 is 75. So 75 hundredths looks like this. Okay, so there's a few ways. This doesn't always work because the number you have here does not always go into 100, but a lot of cases it does. If you have a 5 or a 10, 20, there's lots of things that go into 100, but 8 doesn't. So if you had 3 8s, that's not going to help you there. So all that to say that 3/4 is the same as, I'm going to go like this, 0.75. Oh, can you see? I don't know. I don't really like how that looks because it's a little jumbled. I can just rewrite it below, 7.5. And now I'm comparing these two, right? So this one only has 1 digit. This has 2. So just to be sure, put that other digit there and we'll do a battle game, kind of like a game of war. All right, the 7s are equal. So then we have to go to the next the next one over. Now 5 beats a 0, so this side is bigger. Okay? You have 6 practice problems of that. And again, you might need some scratch paper because right off the bat you have 3/20ths versus 1/8. Okay? Now 20ths is easier because we could do it this way. Like I said, 20 goes into 100. So 20 times 5 is 100. So 3 times 5 is 15. So we just found out that 3/20ths is the same as 15/10. Okay? However, 1/8, I'm going to show you why 1/8 won't. And just, you know, this is letter A in your practice. 1/8 does not work out like this. Doesn't always work because 8 does not go into 100 perfectly. So then we're kind of in a mess here. So what do? Top divided by bottom. Okay, I'm just going to finish this one for us. Put the decimal up there. 8, 20, okay. 2, 16. All right, see, you have to put another 0 up here and kind of extend that out. Put a 0. Sorry, because I still had a remainder. Bring down that 0. And here we go. Now, your 8ths are going to be fractions that you need to memorize. Okay, so 0.125 is right here. And now we do the here we are. Sorry, now we do the comparison game. Okay, the ones are tied. All right, 5 here wins. Oh, and we could have done this, like I said, so we have even or the same number of digits. Okay, so the 5 beats the 2, so 3/20ths is greater than 1/8. Okay, so I did do the first one for you, and I want you to go ahead and finish those other 5 and check. Go ahead and check in the solution manual after you're done. If your parent has a solution manual, ask if you guys could look at it together to be sure before you go on to your problem set, you check your practice problems. Okay, so that's it for lesson 76. What are you going to say?
Okay.
Okay. Get it, class? Settle down.
Okay.
What does it say up there on the board?
Lesson